Hey, what's going on, guys? I wanted to jump in and say hi to you, and I hope you guys are having a good day. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, the Black Business School, and so the main thing that we're going to talk about has to do with the stock market. And I'm not going to spend a ton of time in here today because I've actually gone live already. But I actually want to come back and talk a little bit about this topic because a lot of you asked me about the stock market and what's kind of going on with the market. There's a lot of interesting things happening in the stock market, and what I'm going to do is kind of go through them pretty quickly so you can kind of see a little bit about what's going on. So do me a favor as we get started. Please hit the like button, share button, and thumbs up button so other people can see this conversation. As you know, this is the tribe of intelligent Black people. This is the tribe of investors, those who are building for the future. And so in order to do that, we have to start making moves right now. Investing is something every person of color should do because you must repeat after me. This is very important. Repeat after me. I cannot have a harvest if I do not plant seeds. Anybody who wants to have money in the future or wants their family to have money must invest because you cannot have a harvest if you're not willing to plant any seeds. So just ask yourself that question. How can I have a harvest when I plant no seeds? So let's jump into this conversation. I'm going to break down what's happening in the stock market for those of you who are interested. And also, don't forget, we have the Black Financial Channel, which is where we do all finance all the time. It's all Black. So it's theblackfinancialchannel.com. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com. Hey, Raphael. Hey, Larry. How you doing? My father's name is Larry, by the way. Just a little tidbit of information. So let me let you guys know what's going on. So I was looking through my stocks and my portfolio, and I saw that there was a little bit of a jump. A daily jump doesn't mean a whole lot. It's really about the 5, 10, 15-year vision. It's not about what happens next week versus this week or tomorrow versus today. Good. Larry's doing the $5 a day challenge. Good for you. I actually have a book on breaking down the $5 a day investing methodology and all of the surrounding topics. Please just go to Amazon. Just go to Amazon.com. If you look up my name, you'll find a bunch of my books, and you can buy the books there if you want to. And so anyway, so I noticed a little bit of a jump, and usually when there's a jump, it's because something happened. There's information. The number one factor that moves a stock market is information. Information is the most important thing in the world. So whenever I see a move, I always know that there's something that happened. There's some information that was shared or transferred or passed around, or something happened that was reported in the news that caused the market movement. I mean, it's just like clockwork. Like, it's rare that you see the market make extensive moves without there being information. So when I saw the move, which gladly it was a good move, it was upward. I went and I said, okay, well, what's the information that's moving the market today? Something moved the market today. And so basically there were a few different factors that kind of moved the market, and I'm gonna break them down from this MSNBC article. Stocks rose on Monday as Amazon and Apple outperformed, but gains were kept in check amid pressure from Boeing and Facebook, while investors braced for a busy week highlighted by a key Federal Reserve meeting. Now, what does that mean? Well, basically, Amazon and Apple have had a little bit of a bump, and that's causing a big move in the entire market because when you do weighted averages, like the S&P 500 is an average that's weighted based on the value of the company. You tend to see the markets move when big companies move. So it's like a tug of war, and you have a really fat guy, and when the really fat guy falls down, it makes everybody else fall down because he's so big, he's so much bigger than everybody else. So ultimately, Apple and Amazon are kind of the fat guys on the big tug of war, and they kind of pulled the market a little bit. They also said the S&P 500 closed 0.4% higher at 2832.94. 0.4% isn't a big jump, but it's significant as the energy and financial sectors rose more than 1% each. So energy and the financial sector did well. The NASDAQ went up 0.3%. And the Dow Jones Industrial Average advanced about 65 points to 25,914. Now, mind you, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which is another average, which isn't as it's not as relevant, not as readily used as the S&P when it comes to measuring what the stock market's doing. But the Dow does matter, and the Dow moved up a little bit. Now, the funny thing about the Dow is that the Dow is now at 25,000, but there used to be a time where people thought it might never reach 3,000. or they thought it would never reach 5,000. And so basically, one of the reasons why I scream from the rooftops that every Black person needs to be an investor is because people who were investing back when the Dow was at 2,000, 3,000, 1,000, most of those people are doing very, very well financially. They didn't have to go to work to get this money. They just had to take some of that money that we might invest in, we might put in, spending at the mall or going out to eat or buying new shoes or going to the movies, and just put a percentage of that in the stock market on a consistent basis. That's where the whole $5 a day investment plan comes from. And I break it down, that whole methodology, that whole process, if you want to take a look in my stock market class. It's theblackstockmarketprogram.com. That's theblackstockmarketprogram.com. Now, let me keep going. Now, one of the Debbie Downers of the stock market right now happens to be a company called Boeing. Boeing's had a bunch of ugly plane crashes. Boeing's had this whole situation where people are questioning their 737 MAX planes. They're wondering if these planes are any good. And they're taking, I think that they grounded all the 737s, and that cost them quite a bit. So Boeing fell about 1.5% after the Wall Street Journal reported that the Department of Transportation and federal prosecutors were scrutinizing the development of the company's 737 MAX plane. So that means, one, the Department of Transportation is trying to decide if they're going to, fine this company maybe to the tune of $1 billion or more. And then the federal prosecutors are stepping in to say, should there be any criminal charges filed? You can actually be prosecuted for mistakes you make on the job if it causes somebody to get killed and you were negligent. So just be very careful when you build your company, when you put stuff out there. If it kills somebody, they might not just, put you out of business. They might actually take away your freedom. And so anyway, so that's one big issue. So Boeing has kind of put downward pressure on the market because Boeing's a very big company. Facebook also has put additional downward pressure on the market. Notice, remember I was telling you earlier, information moves the market. So all this is information. The Department of Transportation hasn't done anything yet. Federal prosecutors, they haven't issued any indictments or any convictions. It's just the fact that they're investigating that caused the stock price to go down. So the way investors operate is they hear what's going on, they hear rumors, and they say, oh, wow, it looks like this company is going to be in big trouble. So let's go ahead and get away from this company, right? So anyway, so Facebook shares also fell based on bad information. The information here is that basically Facebook, Needham, an analyst, Needham, who analyzes Facebook stock for a living, all they do is pay attention to Facebook stock. They actually have announced that they're not recommending people buy Facebook anymore. They used to say buy, buy, buy. I've bought a lot of Facebook stock. It's been one redeeming factor, given that they ban me every other week for saying something that's too Black, and it just drives me crazy. And so as a consumer of Facebook, I've noticed that Facebook, their business model has been getting resentment from a lot of sources, resentment from users, resentment from regulators, resentment from their advertisers. So they're getting a lot of pressure. I don't know how that's going to play out for them in the next 5 or 10 years. And basically this analyst has basically said, Facebook is no longer a buy, it is now a hold. So you have buy, hold, sell. Right? So they didn't go all the way down to sell. If they said sell, then the stock would have dropped even more, but they actually went from buy to hold. So they're saying, look, we don't think it's going to keep going up, but just hold on to what you got, right? Don't buy more, don't buy less, don't sell, just hold on to what you got. So that was enough to move the price down by 3.3%. And what they mentioned, what they cited, the justification for this conclusion was that Facebook, that they're pivoting to privacy. And they feel that that's going to hurt their business model, I guess, because they're actually going to care about people's privacy now, and encrypted messages. They said that that's an issue. And they also mentioned the possibility of more regulatory scrutiny, meaning regulators here and in Europe will come after Facebook a little bit more. And I'll tell you, Facebook doesn't, they haven't totally conquered the whole world. When I was in China, I could not get on Facebook. I tried to get on Facebook and I couldn't. I couldn't get on Google, couldn't get an Uber. There are certain companies that seem to dominate everything that are here that can't get into China, because China is very, very picky about who they let into the country. So moving on, investors prepared themselves for a busy week as the Fed begins its 2-day monetary policy meeting on Tuesday. So the Fed, the Federal Reserve, now again, in the Black Stock Market program, there's a whole lecture and breakdown. I did a whole lecture series on how the Fed works and how the Federal Reserve does what they do. And you can feel free to go check that out if you want to. But basically the Fed, they're making decisions on monetary policy. They ultimately hiking interest rates and buying and selling treasuries on the market is kind of how they move, how they either add more liquidity to the economy or less liquidity, or how they speed up the economy or slow it down. So basically the Feds are about to have a 2-day meeting in a couple of days. Market expectations for a rate hike are at 0. So people don't expect the Fed to increase interest rates. But these moments are what I call pregnant moments. Pregnant moments are like, maybe like if a basketball player is about to shoot a free throw. You don't know if it's going to go in or if it's not going to go in, but something's about to happen, right? It's so with the Fed, it's kind of a pregnant moment. You know that they're going to release some information. It could be good news, it could be bad news, but the market's bracing for news. So you're going to see a lot of analysts kind of, sitting on top of their TVs, listening to every single word that the Fed spits out, every word that comes out of their mouths to determine is this good for my portfolio or bad for my portfolio, and they will act accordingly. They said, however, investors will look for clues about the central bank's economic outlook. That's why the chairman of the Federal Reserve is very careful about what he says, because every word that comes out of his mouth can move the market by $1 billion. Literally, imagine just literally saying therefore versus but, causing the market to move by $500 million. I mean, it's kind of crazy, but it's true. And so moving on. The Fed signaled that it's going to be patient in raising interest rates. So they've already kind of said we're not going to raise interest rates. Raising interest rates tends to slow the economy down. They're also another factor that's playing a part in the markets movement are the U.S.-China trade negotiations. Right now, U.S. and China are in the trade war, and they don't know when that's going to end. And so people are kind of wondering, like, how's this going to play out for the economy, and ultimately there's good news on the horizon in the sense that they believe this too shall pass. The market tends to believe that the trade war is going to dissipate and go away. So there's an analyst here Jonathan Golub, who's the chief U.S. equity strategist at Credit Suisse. He actually made a heightened prediction for the S&P 500 over the year 2019 because he believes that the Fed is going to be less aggressive in raising interest rates. He also believes that that there are going to be declining fears of inflation and recession. Fear causes changes in the market as well. When investors are scared, that causes prices to drop. But think about it: if you get scared financially, maybe you sell your stocks or you make drastic moves, as opposed to when you're feeling good, when you go ahead and you invest. He also says that there's a potential for a resolution to the China trade issues, et cetera. And he feels that all these things are going to reduce risk. And when risk goes down, market values tend to go up. And so that's good news for those who are investors. So that's kind of the quick market report I wanted to give you guys. I want to just remind you, if you want to really learn how the stock market works and really dig in with your family, feel free to go to theblackstockmarketprogram.com. That's theblackstockmarketprogram.com. Also, you can get all kinds of financial books and lectures. If you go, you can check out my bundle pack of really good lectures at drboycebundlepack.com. That's drboycebundlepack.com. Another reminder, we are on iTunes, so you can check the podcast out on iTunes. And I want to ask if you guys could kindly hit the share button, thumbs up button, subscribe button before you go. And that's pretty much it. So everybody should invest. If you are an investor, please let me know. Just say something real quick. Let me know that you are investing for your family. I saw Larry said he's 26, he's investing. Everybody else, let me know if you're an investor. You need to invest. Remember, you got to ask yourself, when you're asking yourself if you should invest, the question is, how can you ever have a harvest if you don't plant any seeds? You cannot get rich if you do not invest. The odds of being rich without investing are slim to none. So, there's three major ways you can invest: stocks and bonds, real estate, and a small business. Are you in any of those three, all three, 2 out of the 3, etc.? Nikki says, I'm investing because of you, Dr. Boyce. Good. You won't regret it. You should be very happy about that. Do you think there could be a recession in 2020? There can always be a recession. The reason recessions don't scare me is because there have been a bunch of them, and we come back and it's fine. So recessions don't scare me. Market crashes don't scare me. None of that scares me because if you look throughout the last 120 years of investing, there's never been a market crash where we did not recover. So to me, rain doesn't bother me, because I know that the sun is always going to come out, right? Now, if it started raining and rained forever, then that would be a different era that we'd be living in. That'd be a different situation, but that's never happened financially. So everybody who's in here, all of my intelligent Black people who come and hang out with me on the internet and everything else, I am imploring you, separate yourself from the pack. Go out here and invest a little bit. Dante says, I invest $100 a week. Good for you. Invest. You got it. You got to invest something, man. I'm seriously, because because that's the only way you can have a chance to build wealth for your family. And if you have young children, then you can make sure that they're good by the time they're 30 years old. And you can also make sure that you have a legacy to leave, which is very important for our community. So I'm out of here, guys. Don't forget theblackstockmarketprogram.com. If you haven't taken a look, that's theblackstockmarketprogram.com. Please hit the thumbs up button before you go. I'm going to go spend time with the kids. I'll see you guys later. Have a good night. Peace.